And then Adams tells me that penguins and chicken are practically the same species. The only difference is when very few chicken are good swimmers. And I thought he really liked birds. It's all show business. Really, really disappointing. Did you start the stream? Okay.
God damn.
Good day to you, Colorado. Good evening, Europe. What the hell are you still doing up this late? Australia and China. Welcome to the Serbian Corner. It is a show in which two Serbians talk about the Nuggets for an extensive period of time every week. We are presented, as always, by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code DNVR when you sign up. My name is Miroslav Ćuk. I've spent the last week daydreaming about Long Boys lineups, and I have a nasty headache from last night's Office New Year's party, which sounds like a sequel to a Jason Bateman, Jennifer Aniston movie, and it kind of was.
Oh, I can't believe I watched that movie.
I have a problem because I really love Jason Bateman, so I usually watch all of his movies, and there are some real stinkers there. So, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? I'm joined, and you've heard his voice already, as always, by a younger and a foot taller version of myself, calling from Lincoln, Nebraska. It's Voja Medić.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's cold here, but the Nuggets win streak is making it warmer.
Any snow?
Yes. A little bit, just enough to make the driving annoying.
Yeah, my kids are actually very disappointed because we still haven't had any snow. We had like one day of something similar to snow, nothing stuck, so yeah, it's still, they're really afraid that we will have no snow for the New Year's Eve, and that's like kind of a big deal here. So hopefully something will happen, but not too much. I don't want to shovel too much. I'm past that period of life. Okay. This is the episode number 39 of Serbian Corner with recently established segments whose names will show you how a Serbian that has never been to Colorado, and that will be me, views the rectangle state on the Rocky Mountains. You can also expect some Nuggets and general NBA trivia games and much, much more. And I don't think we need segments for this episode, though. We can just jam, everything under one big mile-high positivity, since there were a lot of nice things that happened to the Nuggets in these last three victories versus Hornets, Grizzlies, and last night versus the Blazers. My first positivity of the week will be Nikola Jokic's 40-27-10 game versus the Hornets. It was suboptimal that he had to deliver those numbers to barely win against the lousy Hornets. Mind I remind you that the Hornets right now are good enough only to win against the Lakers and nothing more than that. So that's kind of a stinker. But it was still a reminder game from Jokić, despite the fact that Nikola opened that game with a big number of uncharacteristic misses. He has had a lot of visits to the three-point line since the Hornets
free
were
throw?
willing to.
Or
free throw. Yeah. And, the Hornets were willing to give those up. So Nikola wouldn't, catch fire from the field. I guess that was the idea. So a big thanks to Hornets for bricking so many shots. So Nikola could, get 20 rebounds in the first half alone. So a record night was all but promised to him. What are your memories of this game? Do you find it more of a positive game or a negative?
No, I think it was positive. I know it's the Hornets, but again, they beat the Lakers, they beat the Kings recently too. They're not horrible, especially they're coming back from all the injuries. I will say, as far as the domination, like 40 points isn't like Jokić has been averaging. Like yesterday, he had 29. It's really strange, not strange. It's really awesome that he just kind of casually going about getting 30s. The Memphis one was the only outlier with 13, but that was one of those, like, it's a wall-to-wall, victory that they had. The one really good thing there is how the Nuggets utilized the misses that Charlotte Hornets had. I like the 20 defensive rebounds from Jokić. I've said the entire season I love when he gets defensive rebounds because they can basically make up a transition possession out of nothing, just out of a regular rebound that he has because of his good outlet. So there's a lot of transition points that I like to see from that. Basically, transition points I like to see from that, and it never really looked like they were in any danger. That's the thing, is like they have these games with like lesser opponents that it kind of looks like it's a slog, and they're not really going to do anything. But I never had any sense of this game is going to be a loss. The one big takeaway there is the Jamal really looked like he needed a break, and ended up being like after the game that, well, the next game he didn't play. So it just did look like a little bit out of rhythm, and just did his, I guess, these legs, and his conditioning wasn't there or whatever, just concentration. So that was like the big thing, and again, the dominating performance, it happens. Like, he just has some of those, and when a guy has that type of performance, the other guys, you just relax a little bit more. You'd be like, hey, he has it tonight. Just pass him the ball, and he'll do his business. So it wasn't. I thought of it as like a good, especially like how demoralizing the Lakers loss was. This was like a really nice bounce back, just like kind of gradually getting it up.
It's funny because while we watch the games, we also have these like mini games we have. If we are betting on something, or even just some petty things like, I really hope Jokic doesn't break his 50% and more, from the field goal percentage that he has, like from the game one of this season. So yeah, it was interesting. It was looking at some point that he'll really have an off shooting night, and it really was comparing to what he usually delivers. But I was glad to see that he was really pushing the envelope on this game. He was ready for the challenge, and he saw, as you said, Jamal wasn't looking right. He actually said after the game that the idea of that game was for him to play while hobbled, so he can
Yeah,
get used to things like that. I don't know how smart that is this early in the season, but what do I know? I mean, I've never been a NBA
yeah.
professional, so I may be completely off on that idea. How did you feel about the role players? I mean, if Aaron Gordon is can be called a role player anymore.
Yeah, he's a future All Star, Aaron Gordon. I mean, he's transitioned into that like Jokic territory, as in we just don't even talk about him as much because we're like, oh yeah, that's Aaron Gordon game. Like, he just does his thing, and we always kind of want to talk about this like more complicated, more interesting to talk about, players. But when we tend to forget basically the similar reason why Jokic gets forgotten in the MVP race, because it's like, oh yeah, that's Jokic. And so I think they were all played decently well. Like, it was still, obviously they still conceded 115 points, but that's not terrible. KCP and Bruce, like, I love when they do. We can talk about that even later, especially Memphis game. Like, I love when they actually, especially in the Portland game. I love when they use the defensive possessions to start running. They're so fast. Like, I love how quick they are, and they started like getting each other. And so in transition, like, they know when to throw the alley oop, throw the alley oop to another person, to the other guy. And so you've seen a lot of these. Bruce throws to KCP throws to Bruce, and it's really cool. Like, it's really cool. I don't think Denver has had this fast of a player on like both of these positions for Jokic to utilize in like those half transitions and fast break. So that was really cool. I think it's still the Andrew Jordan still played. They had like
Yeah.
yeah, they had the bigger, I guess, bigger centers. I'm still on the Zeke Naji train for that second unit. I'm not gonna repeat it. Like, I just don't like watching DeAndre Jordan anyway. So um, otherwise, like, Bones is kind of in a weird funk with him, and especially when he and Murray will like both off, then that second unit really looks bad. And that was the game when basically most of the game that Jokic played and the starters played. So it was not a lot to discuss that way. Like, I think it's going to be more interesting in the Memphis and Portland games to discuss the bench. As far as Charlotte is concerned, like, that was like a routine. We're going to get this win, and like get bounce back and get up for the next game. Next game's Memphis.
Yeah, I agree. Let's just transition to the Memphis game because my second positivity of the week is called Dos Banda para la Cabeza, which can loosely be translated to English as the Headband Bros. Of course, I'm talking about Kenny P Dog and Bruce Almighty Brown, Kentavious Caldwell Pope and Bruce Brown. So those two have been playing awesome off of Nikola Jokić lately. I mean, throughout the season, really, but especially lately. But also, we've seen a lot of three-man action with both of these guys. With Nikola, when one of those guys, steals the ball, move it to Jokić, and Jokić then finish it with an assist to the other guy. But also, as you said, we've seen a lot of two-man game between Bruce and KCP, where we could have seen the lobs and all the juicy stuff between them. And when you add to those three, my beautiful Kansas boy Christian B Money and steamrolling Aaron G Spot. No, that's too much. Okay, so you get that starting lineup. Starting lineup that absolutely killed it against the Grizzlies. I really, really loved the starting lineup. Actually, the whole rotation on that game, because Nuggets were short-handed, no Jamal, no Michael Porter. So, first of all, yeah, Christian Brown in the starting lineup, and the second, maybe almost as important, the inclusion of Zeke Naji, who played pretty well in this game. It was like Michael Malone was reading what the Nuggets Twitter was saying for the last couple of months, and like, let me give them one. so they hop off my back. But I really like the size, the length of that starting lineup. We've seen even without Michael Porter, it was still pretty big, pretty nice in that game. How did you feel about the defensive intensity we got to see in that game?
It was great. I mean, it was one of the. I don't know if it was a rare game, but it was a good wall-to-wall win. Memphis got to maybe like 8 points, 9 points in the fourth. That was before Jokić came back to the game and all that. I like the Zeke. So that's the thing, is like, I think Malone is well aware when the matchups require Zeke and when Jordan. It's just that those like middle ones when they're like, maybe Zeke would be better, but if he's on the fence, he's probably gonna go with Jordan anyway. And this was like, it would be a nightmare if DeAndre Jordan played against Memphis with them having Brandon Clark and Triple J, because Steven Adams was going to play against Jokić anyway. And then so you have Triple J at some points. If they go small ball again, Gordon did a really good job to get him out of the game with foul trouble because he's a defensive monster right now. But Brandon Clark against DeAndre Jordan is just would be my personal nightmare, because I love Brandon Clark, and I would really hate it that he buries us. And he had some really good minutes, and he didn't play enough for them, I think, to even take advantage, especially when the Nuggets started doing zone. And he has this also nice floater. He's really energetic, and zone is really really susceptible to these like weird bounces that offensive players can take advantage and get offensive rebounds. And Brandon Clark also with the floater, he can get in that middle, and Jokić is not the center that's going to block like an empty, like a already. He's not going to meet the shot at his apex and block it. He has to be like there to body up and block that way. So Brandon Clark would have been really good for Memphis. So luckily, he didn't play as much for the Nuggets. Good enough for the Nuggets not to play. And with Jordan, I just don't know how that would work because he's so much quicker. And then with Zeke, they opened up that possibility of like they were almost looking at each other in a mirror, kind of. And you had the opportunity to switch, and you had some nice like alley oops for Zeke. Like that was a good enough pair, good enough matchup on both ends to require him to play, and he played well, and he earned the minutes. I'm glad to see that because it would have been easy to like just fall into depression of like, what else do I need to do? And he just stayed ready, and it looked good. And then he played another game against the Blazers as well, and was should be playing for now. Maybe against Phoenix he might not, because Phoenix has like a couple of centers, like big ones. But yeah, that was a really nice one, and we got to shout out Bruce Christian Brown, and that was also a trap game for him. Starting lineup, he's gonna play. He's gonna guard like Ja Morant, which is like not an enviable task to do, and it could have been easy to, and it could have been easy um, to kind of fold in that matchup and then just end up not in the rotation. He really responded well. He was aggressive on offense, which was even great. Even better to see how he was reading the court with Jokić and just attacking it and using his like athleticism, fast break as well, like dunking and stuff. So that was a really nice. Like even though John Morant had 35 points and it was obviously great, the fact that he had to work for every one of those was like my optimism for the future, like for the Nuggets as a defensive crunch time defensive team at least.
Do you think that the reason why Nuggets chose to play so much zone in this game was because Ja Morant was shooting really bad prior to that game? He actually shot pretty well in this game, like 3 of 6 from the 3-point line.
Well, it's not just him; it's the whole team isn't that great in
Yeah.
shooting. So that was also a good adjustment from Malone, because Bane is not there. If Bane was there, that's a different story. And also, if Jaren Jackson Jr. isn't in foul trouble, that's also a little bit of a different story because he's not a sharpshooter, but he can get hot. And I wouldn't want to see him against the zone just to be like completely wide open and get into those rhythm shots. But again, I gotta also shout out to Aaron Gordon for attacking Triple J, and that's one of those things like you want. It's kind of counterintuitive that you want to attack a shot blocker, especially that kind of like he's a really good off help shot blocker just in space, and attacking him like physically, and that's how Gordon did. He just made him foul him, and and Aaron's much stronger anyway. So he got his fouls. Then you add up a few fouls that Jaren Jackson does all the time, and just like knucklehead fouls. Then you add up him having 4 fouls really early, and then you eliminate him as a potential 3-point shooter, and you have Morant as your only basically only one willing to shoot that much, and you just end up with Laravia is out of the rotation, so he's out. So you have Roddy and Conchar and Aldama. Like those are the guys like. If you're gonna choose, you rather choose those guys to beat you on a 3-point line than you go man to man and allow Ja Morant just to go by everybody. Which again is it in this case it wouldn't be like a fault of the Nuggets they couldn't stay in front of Ja. That's just Ja. Like you can't really stay much in front of him anyway. So I think that was a good call to play a little bit of zone there. Again, with Bane there is a different. We'll have a chance to see that. It's a pretty much different story there.
Were you happy with their zone execution, or do you think they maybe got a bit lucky in some situations? Do you think they really nailed the zone, so that's why they had so much success against Memphis?
I think they were much better this game in executing it. I mean, obviously you're gonna allow some of these open shots. Just that's the nature of the zone. But I think they did a really better job in executing. Same thing with Portland. They did similar style, and there was a lot more communication thing from Jokić as well. Like because obviously it's tricky in the NBA to play complete zone because of the 3-second defensive 3 seconds. You have to have that like kind of like amoeba type. Like you have to have a guy that's always like one step out of the paint, so it's not 3 seconds. So there's got to be a lot of communication, and I think that it worked. It wasn't just they were just off. So yeah, do you want to answer?
We have a question.
Now,
yeah. Please answer this because I don't want to keep fans in.
Why the Campazzo shirt? Well, because he's in Belgrade now and he's playing for Red Star Belgrade. It's my team, so I'm really excited to see him tomorrow and then next week against Barcelona. So I gotta give a shout out to the El Mago.
Yeah, it should be his debut tomorrow against Borac from Čačak, legendary basketball city.
Yeah,
from Serbia.
To give Milan the ulcer.
yeah, Milan's hometown. So we finally got to see in this game what Calvin Booth was trying to do this summer, and All it was needed was for 2 of our 3 max contract guys to be out so we could actually see it.
Yeah.
So it's not really a knock on Jamal or Michael. They're both great players, but it is, in my opinion, a very serious message to them. What is the most important thing they need to work on when they are fully healthy and ready to go? And we can agree that what we saw last night against Portland, it's not that. It's not full form from either of those guys, but we really hope to see it at some point. So the same message should motivate Bones Highland as well, since guys like Zeke, Vlatko, and even superhuman Jeff Green are all hungry and ready to compete when everybody else is on the top of their game. I mean, Jeff on the other hand, he is the first guy to disengage if you see that nobody around him is playing any real defense. And don't forget that Denver, and I said this a couple of days ago on the Four Corners podcast with Ray and Peter. Last year, Denver didn't have KCP. They didn't have Bruce Brown. They had Monte and Will in their places. They didn't have Jamal. They didn't have Michael Porter, and they were still 15th best defense in the league. That's not something to be, crazy about, but it's much better than what we've seen this year.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is the potential of that's probably the maximum of that defense, and the potential of this one is much higher. Even though they're not showing it, it's still improving. And Memphis, I mean, every year, like Memphis does the same thing. Like, I'm not saying they do this thing like that. They start the season, they are really bad at defense, and slowly but surely they just end up in the top 10, like in the top half of the NBA, while they're started like really poorly. And this is the same thing this year. They're gradually going up. Again, it's a little bit of different when it's Triple J coming off the bench or coming off of injury, and he's the guy that you add to the defense than Michael Porter. But still, it's just the potential. Like, the potential of this is much higher, and the fact that you have flexibility, as what we mentioned in the offseason, of you have this lineup now, you can break open if you need to. Like, something's not going right, and it's the second quarter, and you're down by 15 to a team, and you can be like, okay, let's just do this. Like, Jokić, all 4 defenders, and see what happens. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You're already down by 15. It's not gonna, like, repeating the same bad things are not gonna change anything. So at least we have this as like, okay, we played against Memphis, and I hope to see not exactly the same ones, but if Jamal and Michael Porter are still like coming back of injuries, at least like rest him. Like, that Charlotte game was also like might have been a spot to rest Jamal as well, not just the Memphis game. And that's why I was a little bit worried even yesterday for the Blazers game when they're coming back so early, or he coming back after like only a few days of rest, and Michael Porter at the same time coming back off of like a month off, how that would look like and if that will change everything. And it didn't that much. I mean, the defense was decent enough yesterday, even with them coming back, which proves our point of we want to see Jokić a little bit more engaged, which he was, and he is in the last like few games. So that's I think like what the potential for at least we've seen it. That's all before the Memphis game, we've just guessed that they can do it, and now we've seen that they can.
There's this crazy take I have brewing in me for last month or so, and I was afraid to lay it out in podcast because I don't want people to think that I'm completely insane. But when you see those high energy starting five with Christian Brown, you can see that Jokić is really feeling much better, much more engaged on defense, because he can see that everybody else around him is doing their job. And my crazy idea is to start Jokić off of the bench in the first quarter. Just like put whoever, Zeke, DeAndre Jordan, I don't care. Put him for like first 3 minutes of first quarter. Play the starters with a backup center, and then put Jokić in at the 9-minute mark, so he can play the whole 9 minutes to the end of first quarter, and to play
First
a
half.
couple of the first quarter. So just shift his minutes a bit, so he can play a bit more with the backups. I think that works really well, because if you have 4 guys who are primarily defenders and don't have the urge to get the ball, then you get that beautiful symmetric egalitarian offense around Nikola Jokić, where nobody expects to get the ball. So if you have guys like Jeff, like Christian, like
wait, you said him starting off the bench, or him just
yes, just not
Jokić.
to be Jokić, yes, just not to be for the first 3 minutes of first quarter and possibly third quarter as well. Yeah, just shift him a bit. So give more space to Jamal and Michael Porter to play.
This is nuts.
To play. Yeah,
I thought you were saying take him out in the earlier and then put him in with the bench.
No. That's the thing. I want to shift his minutes a bit. It's something that will never happen in NBA. It's just a theoretical exercise
what are you
we're
talking
doing.
about? The first 3 minutes, they can just get blown off the court. Like this is like not
possible.
Maybe a little bit, maybe crazier than your. We shouldn't have 3-point shots anymore. Like Jesus. I thought for a second I was like, because I didn't know what I was hearing. I thought you were saying, playing for get him out of the game like as a first sub, and then to put him in with Christian Brown.
You know that European coaches like to do this.
No, this is not. No, that's not even close. Like, there's no player like Jokić on a European level, like as a best player of the team that is starting from the bench. Like, no, even like Sergio Rodriguez and like some of these guys were not the best players on those teams. They would come in and like get some freshness in, but like this is next level in insanity, man. Like, what the hell? Like, this isn't like, okay, Steph is coming off the bench because he's getting hurt and it's the playoffs, and we have all these guys. Like, this is just, let's in the middle of a season just put Jokić on the bench for whatever. Like, that's
I knew I needed to draw out the rotation tables before I started with this take, and it's not easy to understand it, just by talking with you. It's okay.
But you're like, if you should pull him earlier, you are doing the same. You're doing the similar thing. You set up a tempo of the.
True.
You're doing this. You're doing the freaking stupid Utah stagger when they put Gobert in to play against more minutes against the bench than the starters, and that's weak ass to me too. Like, just putting like, let's take out Jokić, put whatever Jordan for middle of the first quarter while the other team plays their best players, and then we're gonna play Bones, Jokić, Christian Brown, Bruce Brown, and Jeff Green, and then against like Nick Richards and the guys from the Charlotte, and it's gonna be you win by 20. Playoffs come around and you not be able to do that. All of a sudden, you're Utah Jazz and losing in the first round, and then we're asking ourselves how when we're winning so many regular season games. Like,
that's fair.
I agree with Malone. You shouldn't. That's the part of the rotation that like you should be playing like as you would play in almost like a playoff game, just a little bit extended extended rest minutes. But I mean, people in the crowd are like, I guess, half agreeing with you. They like put him like, I don't know, just like sit with yourself, say that Jokić is starting on the bench, and just think how crazy that is.
It's just shifting of the minutes. It's something I would like to see in one game, just to see what happens. Thing is, we know how bad the full bench minutes are. We are trying to see if we can get some kind of staggers that will work well in several games in a row, because we've had some good bench minutes and then some other horrible, and those were kind of going in cycles, one to another. The idea behind this was to have a very, very good bench minutes and try to give more seniority to guys like Jamal and Michael Porter, and and Aaron Gordon and KCP, for instance, to try and play well for just 3 minute spurts. It's not like I want to completely.
I know, but 3 minutes can just ruin the whole game. Like,
to the bench. It's possible.
Yes, I see someone, as I said, like Curry was star, but if Jamal is playing on what level Jordan Poole was playing last year, that would have been fine. That's fine. Then he's one of the best players in the team, and it's not a big deal if you don't have Jokic that much on the. But it's also a different style of play. Like that goal, you can't compare to Golden State. Like it's a little bit, much different lineups and style of play than the Nuggets in in most respects. And this is just not nuts to me. I don't know, man. There's different ways to give seniority to Jamal and Michael Porter throughout the game than like, okay, let's bench Jokic.
Yeah, we have to talk about something, and it's probably best to talk about it when we come back to the with the second part of the show and talk about the Portland game. So before that, we want to get a message from our friends from DraftKings Sportsbook.
Yep. So this time of year, everyone's excited about the gifts. So tomorrow's Christmas. All the gifts are getting open here. But what about all the basketball? When we throw down on the NBA action, it's got to be with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. So basically, that's $5 on any team to win before the game. You get $150 in free bets if they win. Plus, everyone can combine multiple bets for a bigger payout with DraftKings same game parlays. So this is tomorrow. We have a bunch of Christmas games. You can combine a bunch of players, bunch of bets on the same, I guess, ticket. It's called here, or I don't know how it's called in America, on the same bet, I guess, and you win a bunch more money. The odds are combined, and it's it can get interesting. So now it gets to play the Suns. You can bet Jokic owning them, and honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if Jamal gets back. He's the Sun killer, so that would be interesting. And obviously, follow the app and see what what the situation is with the spread, and if Booker's playing or if he's not playing. That also will be a little bit of get a little bit of different things going. So the app's really good. I like the interface. As I can't bet in Nebraska, but I'm waiting for that to get started up in Nebraska. But Maryland sports fans can start betting on DraftKings Sportsbook Live in your state right now. So check it out if you live in Maryland, and download this app now and get in on the holiday hoops action. Sign up with code DNVR at sign up and place a $5 bet pregame money line bet on any NBA team to win and get $150 in free bets if you do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code DNVR at sign up. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for additional details. Oh, wow. So apparently Woj, Jeff Green broke his left hand and sprayed a finger.
Oh,
and will be reevaluated in a month. So that was that yesterday. I don't know if you remember against the Blazers. He had that. He was holding his hand a bunch.
Yeah.
So apparently broke his left hand. That sucks.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not catastrophic, but like it's they manage those minutes without him. But like it sucks. It sucks for him. He was in a really good shape, and
we finally had a fully healthy roster for last for one game. And the gods of basketball are just fierce about this. Okay, so going to the Portland game.
Also too. So Jeff Green fractured his left hand, sprained a finger, and will be right about a month. Man, that sucks. Yeah.
One thing that's
Blazers game, yeah.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting about the 3 games we had last week is that we had practically 3 different rosters. Because in the first game we had Jamal and no Michael Porter. In the second game we had no Jamal, no Michael Porter. In the third game we got all of them. So you can see the different dynamics from game to game. And my third positivity will be that we got to see a pretty good game versus the Blazers, even with the full roster. So even without my beautiful Kansas boy, Christian Brown, who was cut out of the rotation, and I kind of get why that happened. So Jamal and Michael returned to the squad. Both of them had some really good and some really horrific moments, I have to say. Namely,
Yeah.
Porter's first half defense was really bad, and Jamal's second quarter offensive performance, where you could just see that every offensive possession is not going anywhere. It's like he's just wasting too much time, and when he goes to the usually on the right wing, the right 45%, 45 degrees,
Yeah.
position on the 3-point line, usually just ends up in a really really tough contested pull up shot, and those didn't go well. I cannot stay mad at Porter, who made sure his presence would be felt around the rim on offense. He wasn't shooting, you know, as well as he usually can, but he was playing really well near the rim. He was catching rebounds. He was finishing at the rim, which was very comforting to me. And Jamal dished, double-digit assists for the third time this season, which is pretty cool. It looks less and less like a fluke. He
Well, yeah, it's
really is.
basically 2 games in a row for him with double-digit assists.
Yeah. So he's really committed, into being a playmaker. And also, that was his third game this season with 8 or more rebounds. He was the closest in his career to the triple double
I think he had triple
this time.
doubles before.
No, he didn't.
Never.
Never.
Well, that's
Jamal
right, he didn't,
never
because
had.
it was the first time it was Bruce that had.
Actually, yeah, Bruce
yeah.
had, and before Bruce, who was the last non-Jokic Nugget to have the triple double before Bruce?
Iguodala.
Iguodala, yes,
Yeah.
in 2013. So
Yeah.
it's a really long period of
That's right.
of
That's right. He was yeah, it was close.
non-Serbian Nuggets having triple doubles. So thank you, Bruce Brown, for being
breaking that. Yeah.
here. So what are your main takeaways from the Portland games? For the game?
That I like to bounce back in the second. It's kind of weird. Like Jamal had the similar type of first and second halves against Portland. First half was really interesting. Like I maintain I love Nuggets when they're running more, especially when they have KCP and Bruce, and especially when it comes after misses, when they take advantage in the second unit, just running and getting easy shots. So that happened when they started getting the bench minutes up, and they were up by 13, and it just kind of went nowhere. Bones is really in a weird funk. Like he's not making shots, but also defense is just all over. Basically nowhere. Zach Lowe, I think, had a stat line for him that he was some 400 something, 450th or whatever, and basically worst in the league, like level defender, and that also is discouraging. And then when he stopped making shots, Jamal was also like very, from just how it looked like to me, like a little nonchalant. Um, some of the shots they was making they didn't look like they were in rhythm, like they had some any urgency. They were just kind of like shooting. They're there. He had a decent amount of assists still, but just that was bad. And then just kind of went into a funk. And then the first unit just started hemorrhaging some points. And it looked at one point, I tweeted out like, "Oh, this looks like both teams are going to have 100 points in the paint." They were just could not stop each other. Like even Nuggets were going. Wasn't just Jokic in the paint; it was just other guys who were going through and just laying it up and dunking. But then the third quarter was really encouraging. It's because it wasn't that Jokic or KCP or Gordon, the guys that already were playing before turned it around. They were like, okay, give me the ball. It was actually the guys coming back, and they weren't great in the first half that they flipped it. So it was Porter that scored 11 points out of his 18 in the third. Jamal 12 out of his 25 in the third. And especially Porter had this little sequence before then. And basically, the coming out of the half, he had that sequence when they flipped it over. Was he had a putback. Gordon had a really tough shot, missed. MPJ got the ball, basically like bodied someone. I think Lillard or someone got the ball, had a layup. Then he had a weird and one when he just kind of sluggishly went through the defense, kind of like Jokic style, just flipped it up, got fouled, fell down, got fouled. Got an M1, and then he had a really nice in rhythm three, and that kind of just got the team. And then Jamal kind of got into his Murray flurry as well, and it was just Jokic was just there to like puppeteer. He didn't need to go all Hulk mode. It was these guys like were getting the team going, and Jokic was just kind of there to be the baseline. And then on defense as well, they kind of got more like involved. There was a lot of nice doubles from some nice doubles from KCP and Brown. I really liked. Anthony Simons didn't get hot. He was 6 of 20. That was really great for our guards to do that. And that's my biggest one. That was Michael Porter and Jamal that got the team going.
We have this interesting take from Ray in the chat saying that triple-double Murray does more for Denver winning a championship than gunning for 40. Do you agree with this take?
Well, basically, I mean, because you're just gunning for 40 is just points, right? And with you adding Jokic that always has his number of assists, you add Murray's assists, meaning there's more distribution around, and then his rebounding means a lot more cleanup on defense. Again, it's just everyone else can have a bad game and Jamal can have a triple double and still wouldn't mean anything. So it's in like a game like yesterday when both of them are really close to triple double. That's when you have a good game. Do you hear a car alarm maybe in the background?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, that's tough. That's why I was hoping you would talk.
I hope it's not your car.
No, it's not. It's whatever. Yeah, I like that. I like that take just as an idea of like if everyone else is playing like everyone else is playing, and then Jamal adds his assists and being close to triple double, that makes a lot more sense.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, here's the thing about it. I kind of feel because Jamal is playing really slow, which I can see being more useful for the Nuggets in the playoffs than in regular season, because in regular season, especially if you're playing at home at the altitude, you should be trying to run the other team off the court with high tempo. But it's just I don't know how to connect the two things between Jamal being in a playmaking mode on one side and on the other side not playing faster. I maybe he thinks that if he's playing slower that the things will get more naturally to him, being a real point guard in a Jokic lineup. I'm trying to figure that stuff up, because 2 years ago or 3 years ago when the bubble was there, it's not 2 years, it's 2.5 years ago. It's almost two. Yeah. It was
2.5
actually
exactly. Yeah.
It's closer than we think, actually.
Yeah, 2.5.
So he was Nuggets' second best player. Maybe you can even call him a 1B player in that bubble run, because he was scoring so many points. It's really interesting to think if you can get more out of his 10 assists than from his 40 points. It's an interesting conundrum.
It's it's obviously a little bit of a different team as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Just these guys, with you have KCP, if he's a potent shooter, so you add a couple of assists there too when Jamal just passes out of a pick and roll, and it's not just Jokic. It's again I always balance is always the key anyway. And the point like you made about him playing a little slower, I could see it. Just he's not just in the same shape as he was in the bubble. Like that bubble run, he was a Superman. Like that's what I think like unlocks. That's the point. That's what happened to Jokic. Like that's the point of why people need to be in shape for these type of I mean not they're in shape, but like to be in like the peak level shape is to unlock a lot of these things. Like Jokic got unlocked when it was undeniable that he had talent, but then you had when you get tired, your focus drops. Like stuff that Jamal was facing, like that. For example, that Knicks game at the end, like he's just was tired enough that he could not pull through and win that game. And for the difference of a bubble when he was really in like peak physical shape, so all of this stuff was unlocked. Like he was in rhythm for shots. He could attack and shoot off the dribble in the same game, like without problems, and shoot like 15 threes and not have not be tired to like drive down the hoop. So I think right now he's still finding that shape as well. And then basically since slowing it down, it's much easier for your body that way too. So we'll see. I mean, it's confidence too, like being confident to get past the guy. He's still not quick enough to go past Nurkic, for example, and some of these guys like that much. He can get past him, but it's not as smooth as you would hope. So we'll see. Again, I like that he's in the meantime, while he can't score 50, that or 40 that easily, that he has this like playmaking ability. That's the point. Because if he was just doing the stuff that he was doing before the injury and have like 3 or 4 assists a game and just shooting 20 shots a game and not making them, then it would be really more detrimental. That's why the Charlotte game can be won when he has 2 of 11, but he also has 11 assists. That kind of makes up a lot of the stuff that we, players change. Like they mature, they're different, but different injuries affect them differently. So I just like to see that there's evolution in that aspect anyway. Like,
I really like that take about him taking a next step as a playmaker to use the time while he is still kind of rehabbing and putting himself into the right shape. Now, I want to spend a couple of minutes on Aaron Gordon and his case for the All-Star game. Nuggets are number 1 seed in the West, and that's something that didn't happen for the last three years or something like that, I think. So it's reasonable to think that Nuggets have a case for 2 All-Star players. I mean,
it's more than reasonable, yeah.
Yeah, probably. I don't think Aaron Gordon will be selected right away, but he should definitely be.
He's not a starter because you would have Zion.
Yeah, sure. I mean, by the coaches, when the coaches start selecting players for the bench, I mean, they might just say, "Listen, guys, we need to have 2 guys from the number 1 seed. It only makes sense." But in case they don't, he would still probably be among the top, injury replacements that we usually get every year for the All-Star game.
But just think about it.
Like Anthony Davis, for instance, if he doesn't play.
Who is his competition? You like Davis is who knows if he'll be like even if he comes back, and he's healthy before the break, like he maybe get voted in at some points, but they're not completely voted in to be a starter because he was playing at the starter level. That's just the thing. He would have been Davis, LeBron, and Jokić.
I kind of think both of those guys are going to be starters.
Davis and LeBron.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Let's just say, I mean, he's hurt and he won't, and he's not eligible at all, which is a very possibility. You have also Kawhi and Paul George, same situation. Like Gordon, maybe not a flashy pick, but when you think about it, what happened last year with Wiggins, sim situation, there was not really much of a choice. And he obviously had a lot of votes, Warriors fans and stuff to be a starter, but to be just a bench all-star for Gordon, I mean, I don't see why not. Especially even if they're second seed, like you would probably gonna have 2 All-Stars from maybe. Well, actually, I don't know if CJ like you have at least Zion is gonna probably be a starter at this point. How it's looking like. In Memphis, Bane, if he has to come back and really light it up and continue what he was doing before getting hurt to even be considered because of a bunch of missed games. And then you have Nuggets. Those are your top 3 teams. I mean, why not have 2? Like and then you have Phoenix. Like you only have Booker as a guard even. And then what forwards you have? Warriors will not have forwards. Lakers will probably have AD even if he's in the bench or starter. LeBron. Those are 2. Like Clippers. Like maybe. I mean, definitely not starters. Maybe they'll vote him as in old school stuff. But like, if he's not an all-star, if he continues playing like he is and he's not an all-star, it's on the borderline of a robbery that he's not an all-star.
I agree with that.
We're at that point. Like, it's not optimistic to call him like we want him as fans of the Nuggets. It's just his who of all the forwards has contributed more as a second option to a team than he has. I don't know if they put Luka on forward or not. I think he's a guard, but
he'll be a guard. He'll be a guard. Luka will be a guard. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Aaron's case for the All-Star is stronger than any other second Nuggets star in previous seasons, for sure. Especially, even in those good seasons Jamal had, he's still a guard. He still has a problem.
But he didn't have that many good seasons to be like even considered. That's the thing. Like his best chance was the ACL before the ACL injury, and he wasn't. He didn't show up for the first like 15 games of the season. So this is the closest Jokić era Nuggets player has been to an All-Star game.
So don't forget to vote every day. Actually, on Christmas Day, tomorrow, your vote will be counted as 3 votes. So please don't forget to vote for Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokić, both on the NBA app on your Android or iPhone, and also on the NBA.com internet site. Okay, before we finish this Christmas Eve edition of Nuggets of Serbian Corner, I want to make a short Miroslav's conundrum, which is about power ranking Nuggets players Miroslav enjoys watching the most. So this is not a hater's ball. First of all, I want to explain this. I want to show you how low on the list some of my favorite players are before I love almost all of the players on the Nuggets roster. So just a couple of notes. First of all, Jokić and Vlatko are not a part of this exercise because they're my boys. So there's no way I would rank them outside of top 2. And I understand that's not the proper way to do this exercise. So we'll just put those guys aside. We'll put the two-way guys aside as well because they haven't really played any real minutes this year. So let's start with the list. At number 12, DeAndre Jordan. So first of all, I think I am really pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed DeAndre Jordan comparing to what I expected. The moment we found out he was signed in the free agency at the 6th second of free agency this summer. And yes, I agree that he probably shouldn't play a lot of games for the rest of this season. But from time to time, when the injuries come, he is a useful guy. Michael Malone likes to have a real center, and we know he actually plays better, bigger with the second unit. It's just that DeAndre Jordan is probably not the best solution for this season, and in fact, any of the last like five seasons of NBA. At the number 11, Ish Smith. So right now we get to a guy I really like. Problem is he hasn't played a lot in that part of season when I thought he could play more. He was injured, so Ish is now deep in the bench, out of the rotation. But if he plays more, he might climb on this list higher. At number 10, Davon Reed. Similar thing. I like Davon. I have nothing bad to say about Davon. He was actually, you remember, I was harping the Nuggets because they didn't sign him to a real deal before last year's playoffs, so he couldn't participate in the playoffs. I kind of felt that they had better chance against the Warriors with him. But if Davon Reed is the reason why Christian Brown is not playing, that's not cool for me. So this is why I have Davon kind of low on the list here. At number 9, Jamal Murray. Yeah, that sounds like a hater's pick, but you will see everybody above him really had some enjoyable moments of watching for me in this season. Jamal has had some real highs, some real lows, and hopefully we'll get more of the first ones soon. At number 8, Michael Porter Jr. He would be higher on this list for sure if he wasn't injured for the 12 games before.
It's a weird list.
This last one. Yeah, I know, but you will see.
It's a weird criteria list. You say like who the players you like watching, and you're like, I like watching him, but he wasn't there, so he's 8.
Yeah, Yeah, but that's the thing. I cannot enjoy something I cannot watch. So I
Fair
have
enough.
to,
All
to
right.
to go far to the past to remember the nice things I remember from them. At number 7, Zeke Naji. So Zeke, yeah, he is he would maybe be even higher on this list if he was able to play more. But every time he was playing this season, I kind of felt like that's the thing we need to do. That's what I want to see more of, and hopefully these last two games are showing us that we can expect more of Zeke Naji. On the other hand, we had Christian Brown starting against
Yeah.
against Memphis and then completely out of rotation next time. So we'll see. At number 6, Bones Highland. So Bones Highland actually he was in a pretty bad shape recently. Would you agree with that? I mean, I don't know if you can call it shape. He wasn't playing great defense before either, but at least he was making shots at the higher rate. What do you think? Is he in a slump or is it just random?
Well, I mean, it just looks like it's a slump. I don't know. I just the point with him is like if he's not making a lot of shots, then he should be, should be having a lot of assists and like at least playing defense. That's the problem is if the shots can't be the only thing he brings. Same thing we talked about MPJ. When MPJ's shot isn't falling, it looks like he's lost out there and just bad. And so with Bones, it's a little bit of he has a lot of responsibility. It's not. It's just it's a tricky situation to be in. He's not really surrounded by his center is not boogie like last year, and I can see it. I can see a little bit of a slump recently. Again, just not making shots and kind of still finishing at the rim. And I think also like the Nuggets, I think it should come from like the effort on defense. Every that freshness that we see in some plays come from the defensive end, which I believe is like the key to any championship. Just you start from there because it can get them. You can score as many as you want, but if guys are scoring on you all the time and you don't have response to that, that's really could be demoralizing. And it's kind of what's a little bit I think what's happening. He's just getting singled out a lot more than he probably thought that would happen. So it's a little bit of that way. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let's finish off the list just to see who are my top 5, and then you can try and fix my list if you have
Right.
a big
Well,
amendments.
it's a subjective list, and it's not.
Yeah, of course, I agree.
Yeah.
So
Jeff
number
Green.
5, Jeff Green. I just love me some dunking uncle,
Yeah,
or stroking uncle, as we've heard him being called. So Jeff Green, really impressive. Especially, you get that caveat for LeBron James, like nobody in history have done this and that at the age of 38. So it's a similar kind of caveat for Jeff Green as well. But in all seriousness, I really liked him being locked in more recently, and I think he's a really really useful guy. And of course, how can you beat his dunks?
yeah.
On the list of
just nuts.
enjoyable things to watch.
Yep.
So I just realized how crazy it is to have Michael Porter so low with his amazing trees and everything. But yeah, recency bias, I guess.
Okay,
Number 4, Christian Brown, my beautiful Kansas boy,
right.
Christian Brown. I'm really enjoying every minute of him, even when he gets swatted at the rim. I still enjoy those minutes because I tell to myself, this time next year, this is going to be a dunk. So yeah, let's hope so, at least.
Sure.
but the defensive intensity, it's just the technique. I think he's really really solid. He has really good fundamentals. I really like it. At number 3, Bruce Brown. I'm kind of surprised he's this low on the list, because it's probably because he was kind of having a bit of worse games recently before these last 3. But you know what? I don't think it was his issue, really. I think it was the issue of the lineups more than his worst play than at the beginning of the season. And all of those dunks. I'm really impressed with his dunks recently. He had in this Portland game, I think he had a dunk from like, it wasn't a free throw dunk, but it was like 3 feet inside of free throw line. It was
Yeah.
really impressive from Bruce. At number 2, KCP, and you can of course guess that number 1 is Serbian certified player Aaron Gordon. So these two guys, I'm really impressed with the KCP. I have to say this because I always knew that he's a good shooter. I always knew he's a good defender, but I really didn't get how good he really is. It, you know, when you saw him playing next to LeBron in the bubble, you know, everybody should look better next to LeBron, and you can think, yeah, he is a good defender, a good enough defender, so he made sense in that on that team. But he really was, I think, the third best player on the Lakers that won a championship. So that's not a small thing. And also, of course, Aaron Gordon, our future All-Star.
Playoff Rondo has something to say, but okay.
I don't know. He wasn't as consistent as KCP. I think he had his moments for sure, especially against the Nuggets. But I don't think Rondo was as consistent as KCP. But I might be wrong. So, what would you say? At least let's do top 5 from you. Who would be your
for
top
me?
5
And
guys?
just not including.
Yeah, not without Jokic, without.
Definitely Gordon. Definitely Bruce Brown, KCP. Those 3, and I mean, it's just gonna be a boring list, but it's Jamal and MPJ too. I still like to watch them play. Like it's Christian Brown is great. I love all the little things and stuff, but I would want to watch him entire time. Like with Jamal and MPJ, there's a lot more room to be beautiful, and I still remember the bubble, how good that was. So I'm not. And Jamal and MPJ, just when he gets hot, like that's just pretty as hell. So that's the 5 lineup, and I would have Jokic on there.
Okay, we will not waste a single second of your lives. People, enjoy the Christmas Eve. Enjoy Christmas tomorrow. I hope you will have great winter holidays with your families and your friends. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive. Let's enjoy a win against the Phoenix. By the way, you expect the win against Phoenix, right?
Yes.
Are they really that bad right now?
Yes, they're horrible.
Beautiful.
I mean, especially Booker's not playing the last few, so like last couple. But yeah, they're not a little bit of a hump. Like they needed 58 from him to beat Pelicans last weekend. I think it was last weekend. So it's not great. I mean, Memphis really smacked them like really bad. So again, they have like, it's the NBA, so turnaround is like, again, we lost the Lakers, then we beat the Hornets, and Hornets beat the Lakers. So it's all over the place. But if Booker's playing, he's still going to be, coming out of an injury, and it's one of those. I think it's a hamstring again or a thigh. I don't see it. Not that they're going to always be a problem, but I think Nuggets can handle them like they handle the Blazers.
Okay, good. So for all the true fanatics that stuck with us all the way to this sentence, thank you for being awesome, and go Nuggets.
Idemo Nuggets.